Hey guys, welcome to the review. My name is Primal, and today I'm going to be talking about the newest show for Netflix, which is called Wu Assassin. So we're going to talk about that, and also some of my expectations of what season 2 may be and how it's going to turn out. But some of the things I liked about Wu Assassin was the fight scenes were amazing. In the beginning of the first episode, that fight scene was just awesome in the apartment area, and then if you think about the one in the it's like kind of like a diner where you had Uncle Six and Kai, who was played by Iko, fight in there. I thought that was pretty cool, and they have several other scenes. That's the one thing I liked. I like the backstories in most of the episodes. They did have backstories of where each of the characters came from, how they become the person they became throughout the series, and where they look like they want to go after you relive those backstories. So when Kai Iko gets the abilities to become the Wu Assassin, he meets the first assassin, and the first assassin tells him about the abilities that he's able to do, and he's also able to find out that I guess there's a space or time within his powers that he's able to learn and become an assassin in an instant. Like the first assassin told him that he can train all he wants as if like a second just passed by, and it would count like 10 days worth of training. So that was kind of a weird twist. I didn't understand why they would put something like that, but it kind of made sense because of the storyline. You know, how does someone become an assassin in a short period of time? So it kind of, in some ways, kind of made sense. I didn't like the effects of the Shadowland, which I call it. That Shadowland was just weird looking. It didn't look like really well designed, and that was just like one thing I just didn't like, effect-wise. It didn't make sense to me. But he starts to learn how to use his abilities, and then once he learns how to use this, he starts to fight some of the characters. In this particular case, he actually fought his father. So Kai and his father, Uncle Six, which was not his biological father, but you find out in the story that he kind of adopted him. And Uncle Six is actually the Fire Wu, and has the ability with fire and things of that sort. So he's able to just fight against Kai, and Kai, you see during the show, he really has a hesitation to move forward to try to kill him, and because I guess he has that deep in himself, he has some deep kind of relationship that he doesn't want to kill his father, and or the man that took care of him all his life practically. So you see that he fights him in the storyline. And eventually, instead of killing him, Kai decides to find another way of doing it, in which the first assassin tells him how to do, which is to make basically kind of a concoction where the Fire Wu have to ingest, and that ability comes out of him. And it was kind of a weird process because you see a spider being eaten by a mouse, I think it was, and then a mouse being eaten by some other thing, and then a snake eating that thing. It was just a weird kind of appearance, but either or, it was something that he was able to get, and he eventually took out the Fire Wu from his father, and from there he went to go and find other Wus to battle, and we come to find out that Tommy Flanagan's character becomes the Wu assassin back in the 15th, or I think it's the 16th century, in Scotland, and he loses his family because his identity was revealed somehow, and the Water Wu kills his family, and in order to get his family back, because he doesn't want to lose his family, he was told that the Wood Wu is one of the most hardest and difficult one to fight because he has the ability to heal himself. So he had the idea to kill the Wu assassin and somehow be able to become the Wood Wu user and bring his family back with the powers of that. So he sacrificed his own life so that he can get this. So he was able to do that. He got the powers, but he couldn't bring back his family. So the whole premise of the entire storyline is just how the heck he's going to bring back his family, which we later find out towards the end of the show that his real reason is to go back in time and save them that way, which makes sense to some degree because of the fact that, that Shadowland is a pocket in space and time. So it kind of makes sense onto that aspect as to how that storyline would be created, which I kind of liked in some ways how they were able to introduce that, but it was still good. And then once we found out about Tommy Flanagan's character, we find out about the Metal Wu, and we find out who is the Earth Wu, and we find out who is the Water Wu. So throughout the series, we do meet every single one. Now, I actually, if you followed me on Twitter, I actually called it because I was tweeting everything. I was watching every episode and tweeting it out. And one of the things I did see was I could see a prediction of that his friends would eventually become one of those Wu users. And in this particular case, Jenny became the Fire Wu for a short period of time because of the fact that she was trying to get control of power so that she doesn't give it to Tommy Flanagan's character, which is the Wood Wu. So that was one of the reasons that they took possession, and then the fight scenes progressively got better and better and better, more intense and things of that sort because of the level of bad guys that were available at that time. And then towards the end of the show, you find out that Tommy Flanagan is really a manipulator. He was able to manipulate Kai to give him the abilities that he was needing in one particular area, like a kind of like, think of like Stone's Hedge type of thing, and all in a circle, that when you're in it with all those abilities, something magical activates, and he was able to go into the Shadowland. Anyone inside the circle was able to enter the Shadowland. So it wasn't only just Kai available to meet the ancestors or to do anything, it was everyone. So Tommy Flanagan's character, the four friends, which also Catherine Winnick is played by Christine, and she's the cop who gets involved with this. She was involved, but really it's kind of like that side type of character, and was involved a lot of in the series. But I felt that the four of them were like really the ones that were the cohesive unit of the whole thing. So, and she could kick ass too. She knows how to fight. A lot of fighting scenes with her. So they all get into the Shadowland. Once they get into the Shadowland, they're able to go ham on fighting, and their abilities, actually all the Wu users that were in the circle to activate lost their abilities and were able to be obtained by Kai, and also he was able to get rid of them at the same time. So it was a quick way to get all those powers in together and without really killing any of the Wu users, but to get Tommy Flanagan's character to go back in time because there was some type of room that allowed him to do that. Which we then find out that Tommy Flanagan later dies because Kai goes back in time with him and finds him, and he kills him for even proposing things, because he kind of, in a way, introduced a person that Uncle Six had under his organization, who was kind of like a father to him in a sense, or a sister, or big brother. I lost that translation. But the point is that she kills Uncle Six based on the orders, it seems, that Tommy Flanagan gave. Based on that, that's the reason why he kind of pursued him. That's the way I saw it. And once he was able to kill the Wood Wu user, he gets sneaked behind by Tommy Flanagan's character's wife because she was saved, comes and attacks Kai, and Kai was very close to killing her. Even though he was reluctant, always killing people, he became this person that started to, become second nature to kill. And he was about to kill her, and then the son comes in and stops basically him, saying, Mom, and what's happening kind of things, and he realizes what he's doing and he leaves. So that leads me to the closing of the series, which is basically him going to meet up with all his friends at like a family dinner. And once he had that family dinner, towards the end of that, you get to see an earthquake. You get to see later on, once that earthquake starts happening, is that the first assassin somehow is magically alive. Like, she is not dead anymore. She is alive, flesh and blood. So I'm guessing that season 2 is obviously going to explain how that happened. But I'm thinking it's more on the sense that it has something to do with time in the Shadowland. Since that Shadowland is a space or a pocket in time, she was never either, they explained that she was neither alive nor dead, but just in the middle. So I'm thinking what they did is they were able to bring her back using that type of storyline, because the seal, so to speak, of Tommy Flanagan's character was basically destroyed. So she was able to come back to life in that aspect. But with that being said, I do think that also they gotta have to have a villain. And in some way, shape, or form, the villain of the next story, at least I'm predicting, is probably gonna be Tommy Flanagan's character's son, because he saw that at the end that Kai was about to kill his mother, and I think that created like a switch in him, that he needed to find him somehow, and he needed to have abilities and strength to fight him. And you will obviously see a backstory on him, and I think that might be something that's a villain going forward, because the first assassin tells Kai that the Wu assassin is still needed. Even though the powers are all gone, at least that's what is told, he is needed still. So we don't know what it's going to be. I'm thinking that might be the case, that he's going to come back somehow. At least the son is going to come back somehow and be introduced as the villain. But we won't know until the season 2. And if there is a season 2, because we don't know if season 2 is coming out, at least none that I can see. I did this recording. I couldn't see any season 2 just yet. But we'll find out, and if my theory is right, great. So, anyways, that's all for today. Give you a little overview of what the Wu Assassin is. I recommend seeing it. It's not a bad series. It's only 10 episodes, so it's not really a long program, and you'll finish that probably if you binge watch, which I would prefer if they did it like weekly, but hey, that's a different topic. And that might be something that you might be liking to do. As far as to watch the show. If I was to give this a rating, I'd definitely give it about an 8 out of 10. It wasn't that great in the sense of some of those effects, because some of those effects would be really weird. Really, at the type of class that this would be, you would think that it would be a little bit higher level caliber. I actually liked more the Shadowland for the Wu, Wood Wu storyline, because he did have a Shadowland that represented his area, which was a forest, and it made it look a little more realistic, obviously, because we probably filmed it in a forest. But anyways, the effects weren't that great, but the fight scenes were amazing. And some of the backstory, definitely you had to really feel like you got to be with them during the experiences that they experienced as a children. So I actually really liked that. And I hope they continue to bring some way to bring that up still. Maybe some more ideas on who the monks were back then, and then that way Mark the Carntos could be participating in a little bit more, because he was only in five episodes, but there were really small roles and small positions, and you didn't see him do a lot of fighting that I've seen him to do. So I'm hoping they can bring him back into the storyline. Uncle Six is not with the series anymore because he's passed, but maybe they put him on a backstory, and that way he at least can be involved. But I'm very excited to see what season 2 will entail. So I would definitely give it an 8 out of 10, and hopefully it becomes another series that we get to see. So